Hi, friends. This is Reverend Harmony Angelina. I'm sharing with you today our daily angel card reading. I'm actually having trouble containing my excitement for our reading today because of what happened and what the card is for today. So, I'm going to share very briefly how I choose angel cards because it will really show you how magical it is that I pulled this angel card for today. So, I find a really beautiful spot. Today, I'm in the backyard of a beautiful place in the Southwest, and the sun's out, the birds are singing. I'm under this beautiful tree. It's really a magical spot. And so I set out my blanket under the tree. I do a meditation to connect with the angels really directly and ask for who would like to share with us today and what message they have today. And it's all always face down. And I like shuffle the deck face down. And then I keep all of the cards face down and fan them out and just choose the one that I'm most drawn to. So, guess who I pulled today? Remembering this is completely blind, the card I pulled today is Miss Charity, Pillar of Service. She had a message for us yesterday. She wanted to make sure that we continued on her message. She very clearly has more to say today and made sure that she got right back up there to the front of the line to share her more of her message with us today. So that was alone really knocked my little socks off and made me so excited to be able to share this with you today. So, again, it's charity, pillar of service, and I'm working with the 22 Archangels Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. And again, she says, serve with a gracious heart and know that God is serving you. So, the message that she's having me share today, it's a bit of a continuation of yesterday's, is a reminder of how important it is to think of what does it mean to have a gracious heart. And in the photo of the card, which I'll share, there's over her heart is this beautiful bird, and then at her throat chakra is a beautiful rose, and it's all in a soft rose quart pink. And then her robes are the universe and the energy of the universe. So it's like the words that she speaks and who she expresses herself in the world is arising from this beautiful, peaceful bird in the heart that's arising out of the cosmos of her robes. And what's she's really wanting us to take from that today is what does a gracious heart actually mean? And what does being a pillar of service actually mean? And it's really around that we're getting this incredible opportunity right now in the earth realm to really understand what foundation means versus identification with the three-dimensional world. And that the forces that are really attached to the external world being a reflection of who they are, and kind of needing that to be at a really extravagant level in order to feel worthy, in order to feel like they have the understanding of their place in the universe. That is something that we're getting the opportunity to really explore and really understand. And that is an example that is not being a pillar of service. And what is really profound about it is it can look on the outside like the foundations are really solid. It can look on the outside like, gosh, if someone has this much money in their bank account, if they have this kind of real estate, if they have this kind of ability to travel the world and kind of operate with a certain level of ease that's on, it seems like a plane that would invite the speculation that their lives are really easy, and a lot of times we kind of wonder like why, especially now, like why don't they want to uh, do service like they have so much, and what's up with that, like really negative attitude towards the world and towards humanity, in this abundance. And it's really that incredible opportunity to understand that that is working on a sense of self that is not a solid space that they're living from, and that space can is a actually they're standing on sand and it could dissolve at any point. And it's kind of like imagining, she's giving me the image of like you're running up a mountain and it's like dissolving behind you, so they're trying to like get higher and get higher and higher ground because they're terrified of a feeling of nothingness behind them, and they're running from the nothingness that they feel inside, and wanting to get more and more and more solid evidence of their worth in the three-dimensional realm, as it's kind of dissolving behind them, because the truth of the matter is that within, there hasn't been an education on how to enter into the nothingness in a really sacred way. And charity, the pillar of service, is really understanding what is a pillar and serving with a gracious heart from being a pillar of service. And that's really putting into your life the conditions that allow you to work in a way that your service is sustainable and that you have decided in your heart what your service looks like, and that you're able to wake up every morning and like the sun, where how your service shows up is as reliable as the cycles of the sun, and really identifying for yourself what conditions you need and require on a daily basis to be able to do that. And she's reminding me of Brene Brown did incredible research on compassion. And she found that the most compassionate people who were the most consistent in their service in ways that extraordinarily positively impacted the quality of other people's lives. The biggest thing that she found was their boundaries were ironclad, and the way that they cared for themselves was ironclad. And it was really about creating an environment within themselves where they could become a pillar of service, because the conditions for them to be able to thrive were non-negotiable. And it's what's really profound about doing this is it really allows you to set boundaries with a gracious heart if you understand that you are just creating the conditions for you to be a pillar of service. And really take a lot of times the what that can look like to someone who's kind of new to it is boundary setting can kind of feel like aggressive, and it can feel like shutting out the world, and it can sometimes be done in a really a way that leaves other people, even people that we really love and care about, feeling cut off and feeling like they don't really have a place in our lives anymore, or that we're suddenly being cut off, and people that we love and care about are being cut off. And what is so powerful and beautiful about Charity's message is when we come from the place that we are providing the conditions to be pillars of service, then we're able to enter into the realm of the gracious heart and enter into the realm where our actions that we're taking are so that we can create the conditions to be of the most service. And that graciousness of the heart, and really being able to be very clear in what our boundaries are, very clear and unapologetic in what are the conditions that we require in order to really live our service joyfully. And the gracious heart is also, she's really hitting home that the gracious heart is joyful service, that we're serving in a way that we feel joyful about, and really remembering that we are not here, human beings, not even the archangels. No one's here to save the world. That's We are here to connect with the service that is the most meaningful and joyful to us, and becoming a pillar of service in that realm. And that grounding, if everyone in the world, can you imagine a world where even if like 50% of the world, like, my passion is XYZ. Like, my passion, someone naming their passion, my passion is, my personal passion is foster kids. Because I'm an orphan. So the foster kids are my passion, and animals are my passion, and angels working with their messages. And so I was really guided and just focusing on that. And imagine a world where people felt like, I'm just this is what I'm passionate about. I'm going to commit myself to going all in to make this particular thing better in the world. I'm not going to try to save the whole world. That's what creates psychosis. What creates when you see people who are sharing a lot of good spiritual ideas, but kind of their life feels really hollow of the embodiment of what they're talking about. That's because they're in wrong thinking about what we're really here to do. And no human is here to save the world. We're here to be a pillar of service within our gracious hearts of that which brings us the most passion and joy and fulfillment to be of service in. And within that, in claiming that, it's a really deep initiation that of the passion of the heart, the passion of claiming something and committing to something, and the love behind that, and the love behind commitment, and the passion behind commitment, and that driving every decision that you make, and really creating the environment in your daily life to the best of our abilities, and letting it start small and letting it start really simply, and allowing it to grow and evolve over time, and really understanding that it's not about it's never about elitism or about creating like a cult like environment where the foundations of that community and of our sense are on like who's not allowed in. And what's really powerful about charity's message, when you think of the word being charitable, is these are not we're not in being a pillar of service, working within a gracious heart. And it's about creating the environment for that pillar of service to exist in the world, like as solidly like as a church, as solidly as a building, and becoming that yourself, like becoming as solid in your service as becoming the living church, where it's not about who's being left out. It's what are the conditions necessary for this service to be sustainable, and really asking ourselves that question and really making decisions from that, and sometimes those decisions can be really small, and other times they can be very bold, and really entering into the bold ones with that gracious heart and assertiveness and boldness. And it can be of really dramatic things for people in our lives who have been with us in different embodiments, on our path. And I really get a lot of feedback from people is the biggest struggles are making those changes that evolve, like changing the dynamics of a relationships, maybe ending relationships, moving out, moving on, setting some really very clear communication boundaries, and getting a lot of support with that. And this is really the perfect time to call on the angels, is during those times where you're getting a message saying, if I'm going to live my life as a pillar of service, I have to create the environment for my sustainability. And that's going to mean making some big changes in my life. And call on Charity. She would love to be your guide in this. And call in the angels. Archangel Michael is also very wonderful to work with, because you can work with the strength of his sword in this, and the strength of a sword strength that is creating kind of, if you think of a pillar, it is similar to a sword, and it's a very fixed structure that is designed to be very solid and immovable, and what we can create when we have structures that embody that, and we can really make those changes in a way that, like, for an example that she's giving me is like, we are like, gosh, gosh, these are just examples that are coming to me that she's sharing with me. And like, you have, maybe you live with some roommates, and you're not able to like do the level of practice that you need to do because the house maybe is a little bit too busy, or it could be the opposite. It could feel you feel too lonely and too isolated. And so, you need to move into a roommate situation. And it's really about when you're making those changes that involve inviting new people in, or saying goodbye to situations that no longer serve you. Oh, it could go a long way in really allowing other people to see that you're happy, that you're feeling like, really let them in emotionally. And they like, I'm making these changes in my life. And if they're not into angels, it's really a good idea not to say the angels are telling me to do this, because it really can just create an environment where it's not connecting with where somebody is at, and that can create a lot of distance that's unnecessary. You know, we really are able to just share our emotional truth with people as we're making transitions. And that goes such a long way. To say like, gosh, you know, I'm really getting a sense that this would bring a lot of happiness into my life. Like I'm growing, I'm changing, and really becoming a pillar. That growth and change can be joyful, it can be gracious, and making major shifts so that you can be stronger can be done with a gracious heart and you can become the living example of that for others, and the living example of like change can be really fun. Change can be exciting. It can be riveting. It can be create deeper intimacy. It can create deeper closeness. It could create the ability to demonstrate what emotional honesty looks like, emotional vulnerability looks like. To say like, wow, I'm willing to be emotionally intimate with, you know, like just thinking about when you have those conversations of these, if you're changing a dynamic of a relationship, saying like to that person, like, this is what I'm really getting clear about. And I'm also feeling some sadness about it, feeling some heartbreak about it. And because I really care about you and I'm afraid of losing you. I and really allowing the person in on the emotional intimacy, because then that person is able to enter into that sacred realm with you. And you know that a realm is sacred, a sacred realm, when like everything that is there within you and everything is there within that other person is just able to exist with love. And a lot of times, when things like will escalate to situations that feel like, whoa, this doesn't feel safe anymore. A lot of times, what one or both people are dealing with in that situation is like some shame and pain around what's there in the space and what might happen if the emotional uh, maturity and that of emotional vulnerability is expressed, you know, to say um like, gosh, I know that there needs to be a change, and I'm feeling really sad about it, but I also know it needs to happen. And um and inviting a space, you know, if a person obviously feel safe to do that with, and you know, trust your intuition around if somebody is safe to do this with. But it can be an invitation to say like, yeah, wow, I have some, I'm the other person will often surprise you. And if you're emotionally vulnerable and if you're emotionally real with them, they often will really surprise you, and they'll often say, you know what, I've been feeling the same thing. I've been feeling like we need a change. And I've also been feeling really afraid if we make that change, we're going to lose each other. And I don't know what that change looks like. But if it would take me away from you, that really scares me too. But I'm feeling the same way. And really, these transitions of becoming a pillar of service are really part of like the muscle building of being able to live and serve with a gracious heart, and understanding that she's saying serve with a gracious heart and know God is serving you. So really trusting with when you're entering into these transitions to create yourself as a pillar of service. If you're entering into the transition with a gracious heart, then God is behind you and God is serving you. And really practice a gracious heart is an emotionally vulnerable heart, is an emotionally honest heart, and is a discerning heart, and is able to also discern when with the back to those ironclad boundaries where you're able to say, okay, where this person is at right now, if I let them in deeper into my life, it's going to chip away at the foundation of the pillar of my service. And so I'm going to set a very clear boundary with where this person is in my life. And understanding that it's similar to building anything. There's like grade building, it's not a value judgment on anything to do with the place. It's just a passion for it to exist. And it's a focus on the passion for it to exist and for the conditions of it to exist. And being very committed and passionate and very decided about that. So that's the end of her message for today. And I love that she showed up the second day saying that she had more to share with us. So thank you so much. I'm sending you so much blessing, so much care, so much angel magic, angel glitter, angel love in your life. And again, feel free to go to my website, revharmonyangelina.com. That's also in the notes. And if you'd like to book a personal reading, I'd be happy to do that for you. And I hope you have a blessed day and take care.